that some of the persecution that these early Christians were facing had become so intense while they were waiting on their expected blessing. Watch this. That many of them were being tempted to go back to Judaism. They had heard the promise. They wanted the promise. But the process of waiting on the promise had brought them to a place of simply wanting to quit. Let me say that again. They had heard the promise. They wanted the promise. But waiting on the promise was more than what they thought it was going to be. You do know sometimes the wait for something new to happen in your life can become so rough that you become tempted to go back to what you just walked away from. I thought I had some help in here. Is there anybody here honest enough to admit that sometimes you think about going back? Sometimes you find yourself saying it was bad, but it wasn't that bad. Maybe if I'd have prayed a little hard, I could have dealt with it. Maybe if I'd have looked at it a little different, I could have handled it a little bit. Well, the text says, don't you do it, because in due season, you'll reap if you don't faint. Can I teach it before I preach? It can get stressful, and depending upon who you're trying to live it with, it can get downright aggravating. Come on, talk to me, somebody. But watch this. It gets even harder when you have to live a life according to the principles, plans, and purposes of the kingdom, and they go against everything that's in your flesh. Come on, talk to me, church. I mean, come on now, admit it. I know God said love everybody, but you know it's not easy loving folk, and you know they can't stand you. But you have to, because it's required in the kingdom. It's not easy to give God his tithe and pay your offering off the top when you've got bills to pay and obligations to meet. But you have to, because it's required in the kingdom. It's not easy to forgive folk when you know they did what they did on purpose, and if you gave them a chance, they'd do it again. But you have to, because that's what's required in the kingdom. And the saints of God, the reason I bring this up, the right thing never seems to happen for you. You've helped other folk, but nobody wants to help you. Am I in here by myself? Am I the only one that ever questioned, Lord, when is it going to be my turn? I'm helping everybody else with weeds. But every now and then, you face some stuff in your life that makes you want to say, enough is enough. I quit. You see, watch this, church. I mean, there are folk all around you. You know how we testify in church. Folk all around you. Talking about, I don't feel no ways tired. That sounds good, but that ain't your testimony. Come on, talk to me, somebody. You barely felt like getting up this morning. You barely felt like coming to church. As a matter of fact, it was victory when you pulled up on the parking lot, because everything said just stay in the bed, just watch it on TV. But somehow, some way, you were able to get up this morning, put your feet on the floor, and push your way to the house of prayer one more time. And my word for somebody this morning is, when you feel like giving up, you've got to declare, I ain't done yet. Let me say it again. When you feel like throwing in the towel, you've got to say to yourself, self, I ain't done yet. In other words, no matter how bad it gets, don't quit. No matter how tough it gets, don't quit. No matter what it looks like, don't quit. No matter what the naysayers are saying, don't quit. No matter who tries to stand in the way, don't quit, because breakthrough and deliverance are coming if you don't quit. Because the Bible says, in due season, let the church say due season, in due season, you're going to reap if you don't faint. Let me give you some background on this text. Down to college. Now, history tells us, in the transliteration from the Greek, due season is about pregnancy. Due season is the imagery of the birth time. Don't miss this now. This term, due season, carries with it the connotation of a woman who is dealing with the discomfort of preparing to bring a new life into the world. It carries with it the connotation of one who has grown weary with the weight gain, weary with the swelling, weary with the labor pains, weary with the lower back aches. Yet the text says, don't be weary, for in due season you'll reap if you don't faint. Now, saints of God, I've discovered, now here's the challenge for many of us. We're clear on this don't be weary stuff. We understand that perfectly. Okay, don't lose heart, don't become weary. But now here is the part we struggle with. How do I discern when due season is coming? Because see, this weary part that went on a little longer than what I anticipated. How can I tell that weary is coming to an end and due season is around the corner? Can I help you? Can I help you? Do you know How mothers to be know that it's time for her to give birth? She starts having contractions. Now there's no pun intended here, but can I push it? A contraction, you all, is the tightening and shortening of the uterine muscles during labor, causing effacement and dilation of the cervix and contributing to the descent of the baby. Talk, Dr. Davis. Let me say it again. Let me say it again. A contraction is the tightening and shortening, Billy, of the uterine muscles during labor, causing effacement and dilation of the cervix and contributing to the descent of the baby. The fella say, do what? Let me give it to you. In other words, a contraction is a pain that aids in the delivery process. Let me say it again. A contraction is a pain that's going to help you deliver. Somebody just missed what I said. I said a contraction is a pain that helps you in the delivery process. Y'all ain't feeling me in this house. The closer you get to birth, the more painful and the more frequent the contractions become. You know you're getting close to delivery because your pain come closer together and they last longer than they used to last. So the closer my pains, the longer they last, and the more intense they are, the closer I'm getting to my moment when I'm giving birth. Don't y'all tear this place up, but can I drop this in your spirit? If you're going through more than you've ever been through before, if things seem to be piling up on you, if it looks like it's not one thing, it's another, God told me to tell you, it ain't nothing but a contraction. That means you're closer than you've ever been to your due season. And I'm looking at about 50 of y'all that ought to be shouting right now. All hell is breaking loose in your life. They're crazy on the job. The kids are acting crazy. Your money is funny. Your change is strange. Your credit won't get it. God told me to tell you, you're closer than you've ever been to breakthrough. You're closer than you've ever been. Somebody shout, I ain't done yet. Because I ain't done until delivery comes. I don't care how intense the pain is. I'm not done until delivery comes. I'm